Disco X on the line, just as I suspected. No one really gets over me. I'm unaffected. Why would you try to ever put me second? You're just another groupie to me. No, I'm out here single, and I need some real. Now I got standards, give a fuck how you feel. I'm out here single, tell me what's the deal. Now I got standards, give a fuck how you feel.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to the Betting News Network. This is your afternoon Betspresso. That's Vsauce. That's Danny Burke. My name's Sweatpan Jesus. Stoked to have you guys with us to finish off your Monday. Just another manic Monday around these parts, baby. Boys, how we doing? Danny, I saw you earlier. Sauce man, how we living?
Living good, man. We got some NBA action, some NFL. Hopefully a good game. I know we've had a string of primetime unders, but I'm expecting some big things in the game tonight, so I'm excited.
Should be a fun one. We talked about it some earlier. We'll see what happens. What do you think, DB?
Feeling good. Looking forward to tonight's game. Yeah, like you said, obviously we discussed it a bit on any given wager. Could be a chaotic game that brings some entertainment, and certainly pumped to hear V's thoughts on tonight's contest. So excited to be here as always, and definitely looking forward to the good, the bad, and the ugly, because a lot to choose from all around the board. I know sometimes we've been overloaded with the bad and the ugly, but I am curious who we're all picking for the good, because there's a handful of options, but nobody necessarily separated themselves that much this past week.
Just leave it to old Danny to bring some positivity to the good and the bad and the ugly, right? No, I agree with you. I mean, we talked about it some earlier. Crazy day of football yesterday. Cross start to finish, noon until about 10 o'clock last night. We had games all throughout the day that had a lot of talking points. Excited to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. Thanks for tuning in and kicking it with us right here on YouTube, on Twitch, or on X. Thanks for stopping by. How about them donkeys? Yeah, we're going to talk about this one, Alec, for sure. For sure. What's up, guys? How we doing? Dubs from Twitch. If you're watching this on Twitter, thanks for tuning in. But you come and hang out with us on Twitch or on YouTube. It's a better viewing experience. We appreciate you watching, wherever you're tuning in, but appreciate you kicking it. AJ Barner's sister. Did you see fam met AJ Barner's sister?
I mean, be respectful, fam. Be respectful. Don't make me Google something, okay?
Don't make Uncle V come out. Now we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna do good, bad, and the ugly for week 11, like you just mentioned, DB. Then we're gonna jump into this Monday Night Football game. Can we please, dear God, get a good primetime game to finish off week 11? Please.
I know that's a lot asking of Geno Smith, but please, Geno, please.
Well, let's just hope. Well, we're gonna cap this game when we talk about it, like in the thought process of maybe we do get a good football game. We'll get there though in a little bit, and then we're gonna talk some hoops tonight. Nice NBA slate this evening, and then we'll jump in and bet a parlay to kick off the rest of the Monday. Chat, drop a dub if you are finishing off your workday, if you're doing something else, if you're helping you procrastinate whatever you're doing. Drop a dub so we can you can tune into us more, and please, that's all we're asking for. Just dear God.
Once again, begging that meme, that Bernie Sanders meme always gets me.
Seven straight unders. Can we go for 8 in a row? No? Okay, maybe not. We'll find out. But we'll get to that game in a minute. Let's do my favorite game. I think it's become our favorite game for Mondays, and Chat might be digging into it too. Chat, let us know what you think. Who was good? Who was bad? And who was just downright ugly for week 11 of the NFL Sunday? DB, I'll let you get us started. Who's your good, big dog?
All right, my good's going to go to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, it's a little bit unconventional, I guess, because you could look at it as, oh, it was the Arizona Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett, blah, blah, blah. But this was a really big game for San Francisco. One of the 3 bets that I made this past week, I had San Fran, and certainly didn't think they were going to win by, almost 20 points in this game. But they pulled off the 41-22 victory here. Brock Purdy coming back in the mix wasn't prolific per se, but he did what he needed to do. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 19-26 for just 200 yards flat. But again, really limited that turnover damage. And then obviously CMC carried the rest of the workload there. 13 carries, 81 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns in his own right. Kittle had 2 receiving touchdowns. It looked and felt like the 49ers that we have been used to for the past several seasons. Now, with that being said, Mac Jones had been very serviceable, but this was kind of a statement game to, hey, we're getting the band back together here. The NFC West isn't completely wrapped up here, especially after what transpired between the Rams and the Seahawks. So I think that was a really good spot for San Francisco on Sunday.
I love this. This was one of mine that I had circled. Didn't know you were going to kick us off at that, but I forgot you bet the Niners, so you were paying attention extra to this game. And also, not only did the Niners, handle them 41-22, and Jacoby Brissett completed the most passes in NFL history with 47. This is not attempts. This is completions. And he threw for 452 yards, and they still were never even close in this game.
He completed out of 57. Like, that's if you just looked at the quarterback stat line, you're like, how the hell do you lose this game, especially by that much?
I will say, if you're not losing that game, are you throwing 57 passes? That's the question.
Well, they started. They were down off the jump. I don't know if you guys saw the start of that game, but they returned it all the way to the 1. They were down 7 points like that. It was like 13-0 with like 5 minutes gone in that game. So it was a jump. But Michael Wilson had 185 receiving yards in that game. Didn't matter. Great game for fantasy. And I obviously picked the one prop from Christian McCaffrey that did not hit in taking his receiving yards, which is always good. But this is a good one. This is kind of my honorary mention as well. I'll go next. I'll leave you for last, so we go out of order this week. I'm going to go with the other one, the other NFC West team, my side piece, the Rams, baby. The Rams. Now, see, I think that the Rams should have won this game a little bit more handily than they did with those 4 Sam Darnold turnovers. But this was a big statement game for this team. And I think that this was the beginning of the possibility of this team maybe making a run to win a Super Bowl this year. Now, I say this as someone who has a 9.5 wins ticket in my back pocket. I say this as somebody who really likes watching this football team. And I just believe that they have the goods to really make a deep run in January into February. And they showed it on display on Sunday. The Seahawks are one of the best offenses in football right now. Their defense is also very good, which is why they stuck around in that game. But they turned Sam Darnold over 4 times. Sam Darnold kind of got some unnecessary slack after this game, I think. I thought he played fine except for the turnovers, which, that is a big problem in this situation, of course. But I thought that he was serviceable enough to at least try to go and win them that football game. But the Rams are just better. So I kind of lean with you. The Niners was my first option, but honorary mention and secondary, I think the Rams were really good on Sunday, and they set themselves up for some nice stuff down the stretch.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. So Stafford's been absolutely amazing. And I think the one thing that I also took away from that game, even though as bad as Darnold played, the 4 interceptions, how good is that defense, right? Like just 2 passing touchdowns. They held Stafford to under 200 yards. And I know that they played with the lead for majority, if not the entire game, but they weren't up like big. They weren't having to not pass the ball. But the secondary has been playing fantastic. They did a good job of, I guess, as good as you can. Puka only had 7 catches for 75 yards. And that's stopping him, right? Devontae Adams had the 1 touchdown, but they really did a good job, and they're going to put their team in a position to win every single day. And if I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm looking at this like, I'm glad he got the 4 INT game out of the way now. Let's hope it doesn't happen in the wild card or, come the postseason.
So here's my question for you, SPJ, because as you said all season, the Rams are your side piece. Are you a little concerned, though, in the sense that Darnold threw 4 interceptions and this game still came down to the wire, that they easily could have lost on the game-winning kick? You only put up 21 points. Or is kind of, as V alluded to, is this more of an indictment of how dominant the Seahawks defense is? There is a world certainly where both could be the case simultaneously, but I kind of look at that and I'm a little worried about the Rams. Not worried, but I'm more like, how the hell did you not take advantage of that more so?
I think I lean a little more towards the direction of the Seahawks defense is one of the best units in football. And it's kind of like the same argument of what we saw last night from the Eagles. Like the Eagles, in my opinion, really could have won that game by 2 or 3 touchdowns, but they let the Lions stick around after going 3 of 13 on third down and 0 of 5 on fourth down, on 0 and 5 on fourth down attempts. That game should have not been a touchdown game at the end of that game. So it's like the same argument though of like the reason why was because of the defensive efforts, you know. So it's like I think that I've seen Matthew Stafford in this offense cook enough. He had 4 touchdown passes in 3 straight weeks or 4 straight weeks. Can't remember what it was, but I think that he was due for a little bit of regression. But also, this is the best defense they've played maybe all season. So I think that it's just because, as Sook's been saying for a long time, this is kind of Legion of Boom 2.0. The Rams are also an incredible defensive unit. I think you got 3 teams in the NFC West that could totally, very much so, make the playoffs as we sit right now. I mean, they're all in the picture right this second. And I think by the time we enter January in 2026, like these 3 teams will be in the playoffs unless one of them just falls off a cliff. But yeah,
for sure.
If I'm being honest, when I look at the Rams, I see the best team in football, just all around.
Top to bottom.
I think so. I don't know if you saw the graph, Danny, but in terms of just EPA per play and EPA allowed per play defensively, they are literally 1 of 1 in terms of where they are on the graph. Their defense is top in EPA per play allowed. Their offense is top in EPA per play. They are doing everything. The running backs are really starting to thrive too. Blake Corum's starting to develop into a really good, like, second string running back that comes in and takes some pressure off. And then you see Kyron Williams breaking off those big time runs. Every time there was a big time run downfield, it's kind of Kyron Williams. And I really think that happens when you have this 1-2 punch that really starts to work. It might not be the best for fantasy value or in terms of individual stats, but we're really just starting to see it work more and more around the league.
And talk about this Ramsey. I mean, not to go too deep into him, but like after the Super Bowl, everybody thought it was just they were done. All right, you completely sold everything, and you did what you needed to. You got the championship, but now you're going to suffer for the foreseeable future. And this season is just absolutely putting that narrative to rest. And that's a huge credit to Stafford, what McVay's been able to do, and then obviously acquiring a piece like Devontae Adams and still hunting guys in the draft like a Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, etc. Like it's been remarkable how they've been able to build right back up.
Do you guys remember going into this season how everyone was worried about Matthew Stafford's back and like his problems that he was going to have? I feel like that's something we haven't even talked about since August. Be interested to see what happens in this race down the stretch, though, in this division. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Sauceman, close us out. What was your good?
Man, I think the easy answer here is the Patriots, but I'm not going to go that way. Drake May was fantastic, and that game was awesome. But I want to say the Carolina Panthers. They might not be the best. They might not be the scariest, but they won 30-27. Bryce Young had his best game in the Carolina Panthers uniform, 448 yards through the air, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. And if you guys watched that game, you know that they were down and out pretty early in that one. Not only did they force the overtime period, but to come away with that win, man, my God, just seeing this team at 6-5, 11 weeks into the year, you cannot tell me there was one person on the face of the earth that saw this coming outside of maybe the head coach. I do not think even Young had any idea that the team would be sitting at this point, but the Panthers are good. They're not great. They're not scariest. They might not even win a playoff game or even get there. But right now in week 11, the Carolina Panthers are good.
I was about to say Sook did. Your buddy,
yes, okay,
our guy on this channel. He's talked about the Panthers and likes them a lot.
Sometimes you got to separate his hopefulness for these teams, but like he was right. He was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I still refuse to buy into this team, but I do have to tip my hat. I really do. I mean, come on. They've had some big wins. They've kept some games close. The Falcons are also a nightmare. Props to Bryce Young. I'm still not ready to accept that he's, even close to the top half of the quarterback. Not that anybody is, but yeah, this game doesn't really change my perception of them in the long haul. But I'll definitely say, yeah, good on them this week. It's just ridiculous. They're actually in the playoff conversation now.
Seeing Dave Canales in the locker room after that game and how he was talking to those guys was pretty awesome. It seems like they bought into his system. They're starting to, and as I told you earlier, Danny, with the Bears, like when you have a new coach and you're creating a new environment, winning helps. It doesn't matter how it necessarily happens. If you're seeing progression within the system, and then you're also winning on top of that, because it's obviously easy to say, we're making progress, we're doing the right things. But if you're getting L's, it's harder to sell, especially with your players, right? But if you're getting dubs, even if they come in fluky ways, it just helps them move the train down the tracks a little further.
Definitely.
So yeah, could be one of those. All right, V, we'll go back order. V, who's your bad this week?
The Detroit Lions, man. The Detroit Lions. I'll say it. They have not impressed me whatsoever this year. And honorable mention on the good side, the NFC North leading Chicago Bears. I mean, you can only win, or you can only beat who's in front of you, and that's exactly something they've done. But the Lions, man, their 4 losses this year have come against the Packers, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and then the Vikings, right? They have lost to every good team that they have played so far. And as soon as they leave Ford Field, it's like their offense falls off a cliff completely. Jared Goff doesn't look the same, and we saw it last night. Danny, as a fellow fan of an NFC North team, how frustrating has it been over the last 2 years to watch a Lions game and know that when they go for it on 4th down, it's automatic.
Yep.
It hasn't been that way this year. They don't look as scary when it comes down to it. And the Lions are 6-4 and 3rd in the NFC North, man. They're not good. They're not good.
Man, it's crazy. I bring this up because I wrote about some NFC futures, and it was over a month ago, well over a month ago at this point. But I picked the Lions, and I'm still not ready to count them out, but it is concerning with their lack of offensive prowess lately. Like, losing that game to Minnesota to me was inexcusable, especially from what we've continued to see from JJ McCarthy. Call it a unique spot, whatever it is. It's just, you can't drop that game. And then to only put up 9 points against Philadelphia, who still clearly have a top defense. It's a championship group. We understand this, but the Eagles have shown their vulnerability. So you can't put up that dud then when you've had other games like against Minnesota. And now you potentially add in this distraction with Dan Campbell deciding that he's calling the plays for the rest of the year. I mean, to do it for the 1 week, so be it. But to just automatically declare, no, I'm going to fully take on these take it easy, buddy. And I don't think the offense was that bad. Yes, there were some concerns, but not enough to completely overhaul it with a guy who has seemingly been a coach who's a locker room guy. He's a rah-rah type of dude, not a let me get down to the strategy and the nitty-gritty. Sure, you got your aggressiveness and you can get your guys ready to go, but I don't feel too easy if he's the one calling my plays.
And everybody was enamored with it after the 1 week. I know they had a big game last week, but look at who they were playing.
Their defense
you know what I mean? And then again, it's now everyone's got a lot of questions about it, but they didn't look good last night, and you cannot lose those games.
I will say, I agree. This is the right take. I think they were bad last night, but I will say that Eagles defense, especially with getting, who's the defensive end that they picked up, or the outside linebacker?
Phillips. Jaden
Phillips, yeah. I mean, Goff was seeing ghosts, man. That guy was he could not hit a single pass. He was fine for a few, but then you could just tell. They even said it on the broadcast. He was literally getting back there and just looking at the pass rush, which is a terrible combination for a standstill, non-movable quarterback like Jared Goff. That is just recipe for disaster.
There's something to say about the energy that comes with a player coming out of Miami. You know what I mean? This guy was there was no pass rush in Miami, but you put him on this Eagles offensive line week 1 against the Packers. He is terrorizing Jordan Love. You know what I mean?
He got interviewed last night after the game as one of the 3, because their defense was awesome, and he was like, "This is the great moving to Philly was the greatest thing that happened to me in my life," which is an indictment on the Dolphins, but also saying how happy he is.
Miami to Philly.
It was also nasty. It was also nasty work because on the broadcast they literally were like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing." Not your recent announcement. Your your girlfriend's pregnant, and they show a picture of them doing the baby announcement. Just nah, when we have the baby, that'll be the best day. And I was like, damn, hope your wife's not watching this, big dog. He's sleeping on the couch.
That's how bad it is in Miami, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right, Danny, bad? What you got?
I figured you would maybe use this one. You still might, but I'll say the Chargers. That was bad, plain and simple. 35-6, you're losing against the Jaguars. And look, if they lost that game, it wouldn't have really ruffled too many feathers. We've seen similar situations to where the Chargers have not been a great traveling team after their tough haul to begin the year. They lost on the road against the New York Giants. They had a close one against the Miami Dolphins going to Florida. So to put this one in there again against the Jaguars, who are a very hungry team, wouldn't have been bad. But what was bad is just how you play. I mean, it wasn't even close. I figured if the Chargers were going to lose, it was going to be in classic Chargers fashion, like they blow a lead, they lose on a game-winning field goal, something along those lines. But Herbert, 10 of 18, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Credit to the Jaguars defense. You know, I'm not going to say that it was just the Chargers being bad. Jacksonville certainly had a lot to do with that, but completely inexcusable performance from this offense. Herbert was your leading rusher, and he had 21 freaking yards. The Jags run defense is phenomenal, has been phenomenal, but holy cow, that is bad. And I am a huge Justin Herbert fan. Like, I look to defend this guy all the time, not to the extreme of where, you know, everybody jokes about him in the postseason, this, and that. I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but when you have outings like this, it's hard to die in that hill with him here.
I will, as a Justin Herbert hater and someone who doesn't think he's a top 10 QB in the NFL, his offensive line play has been terrible, and they're injured. And the guys that he has out there are guys that are literally graded in the bottom 5 of all offensive linemen are at their position. It hasn't been easy the last couple of years, and not to, you know, talk about it like in a morbid kind of way, but a couple of other guys that we've seen with great talent, but you can't protect them, as a guy like Andrew Luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't remember where I saw this, but somebody put this out on TikTok, and they went through the amount of hits that Andrew Luck took and now the amount of hits that Justin Herbert's taking. Herbert is on pace to take more hits. Herbert is on pace to eat more dirt, and that's never a good recipe in terms of long-term success, you know? But yeah, they just haven't been bad. Not to give them any excuse. They have been bad. 35 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars and SPJ. You know how bad they are.
Well, and I was on the 3.5. I thought the Chargers would get the job done, and yeah, they could not get out of their own way, and that offensive line just completely killed that game. It sucks for Herbert too, because we talked about it in the beginning of the season. He was playing MVP caliber football when they had a fully healthy offensive line, and then that just went to the wayside, and we're seeing the results of what that looks like now. Yes, Danny, that was one of mine, purely off the fact I'm still pissed off at them from taking a unit from me yesterday as well and not even looking semi-serviceable. But I'm going to go this way. I'm starting to worry about Arrowhead, boys. I'm starting to worry about the Chiefs. I was pretty convinced they were going to get the job done yesterday and beat the Broncos, who a team I still think is fraudulent, but I'm starting to have to eat my crow a bit on that squad. But the Chiefs really pissed that game away yesterday. I thought that they had a chance to win / even cover, and they just did not get the job done. Patrick Mahomes threw yet another interception in the red zone, which was a huge turning point in that game. Yes, the Broncos defense is good, and yes, Mile High is a tough place to play, but this was a massive opportunity missed for this team that's looking to make a push in the back half of the season. Now they're 500. They got to start winning some games. Otherwise, we might have to start having a conversation that are the Chiefs, quote unquote, in their dynasty, going to not even make the playoffs this year. So I'm worried about this team. I was disappointed in them yesterday. I thought they played pretty poorly as well. They didn't look as prepared as they normally have, as Andy Reid has always done a good job of preparing teams after a bye to come out and look, you know, in control and like Super Bowl contenders. This team didn't even look like a playoff team yesterday, in my opinion. So I'm a little bit worried about them. Maybe I'm jumping a little too far the other direction, but I think that this is definitely something I need to see some big dubs from this team over the next couple of weeks before I start wanting to back them again.
It feels like over the last 3-4 weeks, we have seen so many MVP cases die. You know what I mean? Josh Allen's MVP case died, not the Dolphins last week, but a couple of weeks ago. The Mahomes case died. The Jordan Love case died last week with their loss to the Carolina Panthers. It's we're seeing that, and that was Mahomes this week. I know that they lost and they didn't look good against the Bills either, so maybe you want to talk about then, but the offense looks discombobulated. The defense has been so good, and that's what's frustrating to me. In years past, when we've had questions about Mahomes and the Chiefs, it's always about the defense. Can the defense be as good as the offense? Can they keep up? Now it's like looking like the opposite, despite having some weapons. What are you thinking, Danny?
So I was talking about this a bit earlier today with SPJ, and we were looking ahead to their next spot where they're laying, 3 in the hook against Indianapolis. I'm not afraid. I haven't dug into it, but my initial lean would be with Kansas City because I do still think there's a bit of fraudulence with Indianapolis's defense. And we've seen what's happened in a couple of the bigger spots they've played in. I'm not ready to push the panic button on Kansas City just because we've seen this time and time again with them through the regular season, albeit this year's a bit different because you have more in newer teams propping up into the postseason conversation. So there's not much room left for error. So yes, they absolutely have to get going, and they have to get going now. And that was a very winnable spot for them. I don't think that game changes my mind about Denver or Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City, I don't necessarily think is at the top of the AFC, but you can never count them out. So them losing in a close game on the road in one of the tougher environments to play against one of the better defenses, division spot here, like, yeah, that's going to happen. That makes sense. And then the Broncos on the other side, did Bo Nix really do anything to change my mind and the type of quarterback he is? No, it's just he's riding the coattails of his defense, the ground game, and when he has to be mobile in his own right. So, yeah, I'm not really panicking too much just outside it. Like, the only reason would be is because you don't have much room for error if you're Kansas City. So you can't just lollygag. You have to go through. It sucks. It was a very winnable game, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, a little shade. I'm sure Shaggy likes to hear that. He sounded pretty disappointed this morning when we were talking about this, and he was disappointed because I liked the Chiefs a lot, and he was backing it with me. So, all right, I'll lead us off for the ugly, and then we'll get into Monday Night Football chatter, which I know chat is clamoring to talk about as we get into this game. Mine's short and sweet. Kind of touched on it earlier. The Falcons. This team sucks. It sucks because they can be so good, but unfortunately, when you're 3-7, it doesn't matter the talent you have on either side of the football. You suck. And unfortunately now Michael Penix is going to miss the rest of the season. Drake London is still dealing with issues. This defense is good. Yeah. But you let Bryce Young throw for almost 500 yards and come back and lose a game at home that you really needed to win in overtime. I'm out on this team. I don't think this team's going to do anything this season. Going to be lots of questions. I said it earlier to you, Danny. I think that Raheem Morris's seat is going to be really hot going into the offseason. Maybe they don't even try to continue to bring him back for another round to go and then try to get a new guy in here to kind of see what he can do with this roster. They also don't have their first-round pick in the draft because they traded it to the Rams. And the Rams are looking like they could have maybe a top 10 pick as well. So that's an extra little salt in the wound than what this franchise is looking at right now going into the back half of the season. Is it absolutely curtains for this team right now? Probably not. But I think that this team is not going to do anything. And unfortunately now this season is cooked for the Dirty Birds.
Kirk Cousins looks horrendous. It's cooked. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, their postseason chances have been over. All I was going to say is there's going to be some uncomfortable conversations about Michael Penix Jr. in the future of this team with all the weapons they have going forward if he continues to play the way that he's played up to this point.
How crazy is it going to be when they go into the offseason, not knowing if they want to continue down the Michael Penix Jr. train going into next year, not knowing what they're going to do with Kirk Cousins' $50 trillion million contract, having to look at maybe drafting a quarterback, but oh, wait, you don't have a first-round pick, so how are you going to draft a quarterback? That's just a nasty situation to deal with in the offseason in Atlanta. And
let's not even talk about the head coach questions about surrounding Raheem Morris. If, it continues on this way, like let's say you finish, 4-12 or 4-13, that's a separate conversation to have then. I get it. You missed a lot of players, but if we're going to hit the reset button, let's hit the reset button.
I think he's going to get fired personally right now. I think he's a good coach. He'll probably land somewhere else, but I think that it's just, I think the time's up. I think it's just,
offensively, he doesn't have it.
Sure. All right, Sauce Man, I'll let DB close us out. Who's your ugly?
The Browns. You're winning that game. You're doing everything you can to try to get a win, and I get it. And this isn't even like no shade to Dylan Gabriel, no shade to Shedeur. It's not like I watched either one of them extensively so far in the NFL. But if you are in an organization, you have 2 wins on the year, and you literally just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. If you were going to bring in Shedeur, why are we doing it mid-game with no game plan against a divisional opponent where our offensive line has been getting smoked? I don't know. Seems like you set the
it was going so well.
Talk. This is just about you setting up your guy for success. If you are going to take a guy on your team and put him in a position like that, I just don't think it's a good idea to do it with anybody. You're losing this game. It's a divisional opponent. It just didn't make any sense to me. Sure, if you want to see what you've got, right, in the offseason, you might be looking for a new QB. Shedeur might be garbage. You know what I mean? But why are we doing it this way in the middle of a game against the Baltimore Ravens? It was weird.
Well, they had to play him because Gabriel got hurt. So it's not like they wanted to trot him out there. The defense was incredible yesterday. Myles Garrett is just a freak of nature. And we don't have any argument on that. But I mean, you like Shedeur Sanders, so I think that we don't have time to go deep into this because we could spend the rest of the show having this argument. But I just don't think that Shedeur Sanders is a NFL quality quarterback. And so I think it showed yesterday the reasons why they've gone to Dillon Gabriel, because he's just not good enough to do it at the professional level right now. Maybe he does develop into that if he learns how to be a proper NFL quarterback, but there's a reason why. And all the takes today of everyone saying that he wasn't amply prepared, and Cam Newton saying that, that Stefanski's trying to like not be his quarter. Like, really, you think Kevin Stefanski doesn't want to be a head coach in the NFL, so he's just going to not play this kid? Like, what are we talking about?
No,
that's
Cam
driving
Newton
me
also
nuts.
said that the Eagles are going to get smoked on Monday Night Football. Like Sunday Night Football. Cam is that's wild, but it's not good practice. Like, even you have to prepare him a little bit, and you cannot tell me that Dillon Gabriel has been doing anything that makes him look like an NFL caliber quarterback.
Okay, to continue down that argument, why do you think that they're not doing that?
I have no idea, but that's why I'm saying, why are you doing it in the middle of a game?
Because they
last week, Kenny Pickett was named the second string QB to come in case Gabriel got hurt. That was last week. And now he's good enough to come in halfway through against a divisional opponent.
No, Gabriel got knocked out of the game, man. They didn't want to put Dillon Gabriel. They didn't want to take Dillon Gabriel out. This wasn't like a coaching decision. This was a guy got hurt. We have to throw Shedeur out there because we got nobody else.
The Browns are bad, and the decisions that they make continue to make no fucking sense to me.
There have been a lot of former players coming out and saying, the process of a draft pick like a Shedeur Sanders and what kind of meaningful reps he gets. And a lot of that, they say, comes from training camp, right? They're not going to waste time when they have to prepare week by week to get him these first team reps. So that argument, not saying like that anyone's making it here, but like what people are saying on Twitter is like crazy. And people have come into situations. And look, I don't even care too much about his performance. He has the tangibles and kind of the skill set of a great athlete who could be a good player. I'm curious to see if he does start. Someone in the chat said he may be slated to start this week, and then I'll reserve my judgment. Obviously, the off-field characteristics and stuff that happened is a whole different beast. But yeah, SPJ, like you said, like the people with their conspiracy hats on to go like Kevin Stefanski, like that just blows my mind. Like, why would they draft him? Why? Like, it just makes no sense to think that would be something that's orchestrated. You're right. Like, this guy, even though he's won coach of the year, like he's still kind of playing for his career too. It makes no sense. But yeah, I'm willing to reserve judgment on Shedeur Sanders and actually do hope he starts to see what we can make of his ability next week.
I think that we'll be able to adequately judge, which I think is maybe your point of view right now. He's going to get first team reps all this week in practice. So with all these guys, now this team still sucks. Let's not get it twisted. But he will get the chance to go out next week with a full week of practice with all these guys running reps. Will that matter in a short span? We don't know, but at least we'll get a little bit of a better view of what that looked like. So we'll see. But yeah, I agree with you. Ugly Browns, they're nasty.
Yep. All right, Danny, take us home. Even with Shedeur,
I think it'll be ugly the rest of the season. Sure. All right, Danny, what you got?
All right, a quarterback that Shedeur Sanders may actually be better than. JJ McCarthy. Come on. 16-32, $150, 1 touchdown, 2 interception. You may be saying, Danny, Caleb Williams went 16-32, and his QBR was roughly similar. Yeah, well, my quarterback got the job done. Yes, JJ McCarthy, 9. You can't give yourself an alter ego when you're as awful of a quarterback as JJ McCarthy is. And I really don't want to be the guy to like root and celebrate on someone's downfall, but it's more so just like it's a validation of me like thinking I'm like not, or I'm crazy or not. Like before the year, I'm like, why is everybody so high on this kid who was not a prolific passer in college, and their win total like 9.5 coming off a major? I just did not understand and still don't understand what people are saying. Sure, he looked a little bit better in the fourth quarter, eerily similar to what transpired in the first game against Chicago. But I think that has more to do with the ineptitude of Chicago not executing in the red zone against a really good defense that blitzed Caleb Williams like 80% of the plays or whatever, some insane number like that. The point is the Vikings are screwed. In hindsight, they should have kept Darnold. I'm not saying that was the obvious situation then. I know there's a lot of things that go into it, but my goodness, JJ McCarthy is an awful quarterback. I don't even want to hear the conversations about him needing more time and what have you. This guy's just not good.
Danny, how hot were you?
That was after 9 calling you, by the way.
Yeah.
But how hot were you after that game winning or like potential game winning touchdown pass?
Literally at the start of the fourth, when Cairo lined up for that 50-yard, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? This guy can't, going on a rant about it. And then naturally, like, he makes it. So then when he lines up for that 40-yarder, I'm like, it's the start of the fourth or whatever. I'm telling my friends, like, he's gonna miss this. Like, he's due. You can't just make the 3 field goals before whatever it was, and one of them being a 54, 52-yarder, and then make this. Like, it's gonna be same thing as the last game. Lo and behold, he misses it. They score all this and that. And I'm like, he's going to get a game-winning drive. And if Duvernay doesn't have that kickoff return, I kind of had the feeling that this was going to be the end of the Bears coming back and getting those game-winning drives. And still Santos almost made it. Like, holy crap, man. Look, I was saying it earlier, V. I'm a pretty objective Bears fan. Sure, I'm going to celebrate when they win and everything around that. But, like, I know this team isn't a playoff winning caliber squad, but I'm sure as hell going to be happy when they win because seldom have I had those opportunities. But it's nice to see that they're actually closing these games out. And as you said, SPJ, it's a lot easier to make those corrections when you're winning. And that's what the season's about, is making those adjustments and working from it. So I was terrified. I was going to throw up. That honestly might have been worse than losing that Bengals game if J.J. McCarthy led a game-winning drive, because I would not be able to have this conversation that we're having right now.
People were already putting it out on the timeline. He's a winner. McCarthy's a winner. He doesn't do anything, but he wins games. Like, this man.
Next year when we have our meetup, I can't wait to do it during football season, because I gotta sweat a Bears game with Danny. I need to see this side of you, because I know you get fucking animated, and I know that you're into it.
I'm just the most pessimistic fan. It's like a realist and pessimistic person, and just a lot of expletives at the TV, and just it's
as you should be.
I'm sure he's the same way with the Packers.
Oh yeah.
How crazy is it that, I mean, and I said this, I think, was it last week with you guys, or I can't remember, but I said that Jay Jettas has probably got to be behind the scenes in the back of his head, like thinking like, what in the actual hell are we doing? Like, I had such a great year last year with Sam Darnold, and now I got to watch Sam Darnold over there cooking with JSN.
Mm-hmm.
And now I got to deal with this kid throwing me the ball who can't even, his like target percentage also throwing to Justin Jefferson is just awful. And yesterday, some of that frustration came out. He was like slamming his helmet, which how can you blame him, dude? I mean, eventually, even if you're a leader of a team, it comes out. You get frustrated because guys aren't pulling up their end of the bargain. And this is going to be one of those things that I think they are going to go back and kick themselves. You can never go hindsight 2020, right? But like, they let a good thing walk away. Yeah, it would have been hard to pay a pretty penny, but like, it's so crazy that these franchises now, we just talked about the Falcons with Penix. We're talking about the Vikings right now with JJ McCarthy. How much these franchises put on these young developing players, and then they end up like shitting the bed because they have so much on their shoulders, and maybe they just weren't even that good to start out with.
Right.
But the things that they give up to get to that particular point is crazy, man. And I mean, Kevin O'Connell has even come out and said, like, it's not franchise quarterbacks that fail franchises. It's franchises that fail franchise quarterbacks. And like, it's kind of like we're seeing that play out within his own organization right now.
Yeah, when you watch JJ play, it's like this was malpractice drafting this kid. Because like, especially here in the NFL, he's not accurate. He doesn't hit, like, he doesn't have timing with his receivers. He doesn't hit them in the spots that they need to be, like, they need to get the ball. He is going to do in the NFL is drive Jay Jettas into the hands of somebody else. Hopefully somebody in the same division wearing green and yellow. But
that would be terrifying.
Only one can hope. One can only hope.
Dude, I mean, what do you think? I mean, based on those comments from O'Connell, like, they're kind of stuck with JJ then, right? Like, the Vikings are almost if he keeps up this trajectory, I mean, it's not even like it's just a plateau, like him just being this evenly bad the rest of the year. What the hell do you do with a star receiver, arguably the best in the NFL, and Justin Jefferson? Like, you have to keep him happy. Otherwise, he's dished out and you're putting all your chips around JJ McCarthy. Like, this is a tough spot to be in, and I really don't see it getting better. I'm not like hating the guy. I have nothing against it. I just don't think he's a good quarterback, and it's so evident. And I get that it's his rookie year, but at least with some rookie quarterbacks, you see potential. With him, you just don't see it. And it wasn't like he was a great thrower in college. Like, you just put that up, average 9 pads and whatever the actual number is in college. You never sat there and watched like, man, this guy can really sling it. I want him being the quarterback of my team. Hell no. Like, come on.
I get to watch Cam Ward every Sunday right now for the Tennessee
You can
Titans.
see potential there at least.
Yeah. And the Titans suck. They're terrible I mean, it's just a hard watch for 3 hours. However, What makes me feel good about watching these games is Cam Ward can sling the fucking football.
Yeah.
He can throw the football, and I trust if they put weapons around him that this team can actually be pretty decent moving forward.
Agree.
I watch guys like J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler, like these types of players that you just go, you can't – what are you going to do with this? Like you can't – and unfortunately for the Vikings, and we said this, all of us actually on this channel, said this going into this season, you have a top caliber defense in Brian Flores coaching that unit. You have an incredible offensive line and decent enough running back play. You have two really incredible wide receivers. And as you mentioned, if not the best, one of the best wide receivers in football, a really good tight end. This is your Super Bowl window for this team right now. And now they don't have a leader of that. That's a massive problem right now in the NFL. Huge. So I think it's a bad issue. I think it's a good ugly for you. I'm sure you felt good that getting that catharsis off your chest. It's nice to get it with the dub in your mouth too. But you can do that. Yeah. He also looked pretty all right too on Sunday, which was interesting. He had to sweat
he
that
had
out.
me on fucking pins and needles, man.
Yeah, he did.
Every single dropped interception, I was like, that was one. That was one. That was one. I finally got one.
Can we get like a brief breakdown of that Packers Giants game? Whether you want to rant or gloat or whatever it is, just to pick your brain about it.
I don't want to talk about how good Jordan Love looked because of how bad the wide receivers looked. The amount of dropped balls, if you watch that game, and then I saw a stat that popped up on the timeline of everybody's drop rate over the last few years, and Reed's looked worse. Dobbs has gotten worse. It's just I'm hoping it's not going to be a problem. Watson's gotten a lot better, and he looked great the last 3 weeks, and he could be that wide receiver one guy that we've been kind of, starved for. But it's the Giants. We won by 7 points. Jabu almost took my lunch money, man. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun, but we got the win, and we needed it.
Hey, that was like the Bears against the Giants. Ugly, but we'll take it.
We'll take it, man.
He almost took your lunch money. That's so funny. He prayed at you before. All right. Talked 40 minutes to the NFL for week 11. Chat, I'm sure a lot of your teams, maybe didn't talk about them, but if we did, there's some conversation starters moving forward. But we got last game of week 11, boys, to talk about Monday Night Football tonight, kicking off here in the next couple hours. Let's get to it. Cowboys taking on the Raiders in Las Vegas tonight. 3.5-point dogs are the Raiders as we sit right now. 3.5-point faves, Cowboys coming to town, or the Cowgirls, as Alex said in the chat. Over under 49 flat. 48.5 in some spots. It was 50 a little bit earlier, but now it's kind of dipped around that 49, 48.5 line. This is a really interesting game because you got two teams kind of going in opposite directions. The Cowboys looking desperately to stay relevant in the NFC East and also just the NFC as a whole as we get into this portion of the season. Quinnen Williams is going to be making his debut for this team tonight, which could help on that defensive line, which has been terrible. Secondary's been terrible. But the offense on the Raiders side of things is also terrible. V, I'll let you go first since Danny and I talked about this earlier, and then Danny, you can do some thoughts you talked about in your article as well. Sauceman, what do you kind of think about this game?
Man, I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It sounds weird because the Raiders' offense has looked honestly insane. Last week, we saw Brock Bowers had like 2 targets, I think maybe 3 targets. One of his worst weeks after coming the huge game he had the week prior with 3 touchdowns. I don't know what to expect, but if there's one thing that I do know, it's that this Cowboys secondary is absolute dog shit. That they can't stop a nosebleed, that their secondary has gotten worse, and it's the reason they're also been going to more man coverages than in years past. Usually they're in the top 3 of zone coverages. This year's the top 10. That doesn't make me think they're going to be playing more man today. It just gives me confidence in how bad this team is doing, that they are trying things that they haven't done before. And it's not working well. We've seen this team lose games that they should look like they're winning. We have seen the offense kind of go like just missing at times. We saw that Denver game, and I know that it was on the road, but the Cowboys offense hasn't looked the same outside of Jerry's world. This game is on the road. The one thing that gives me confidence is the fact that it is still in a dome, it being in Las Vegas. But I'm kind of seeing a high-scoring affair. And Danny, I don't know if you agree with me, but what are you thinking? Do you think this is another primetime under? It's a 7th straight, Trizzy said, SPJ?
7 straight, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really, in full confidence, take an under in this spot just based on how bad both defenses are. Now, the Raiders have shown flashes of being a strong defense, and not just in the last spot against Denver, but in other times before. They're pretty stout against the run, and that has a lot to do with Max Crosby wreaking havoc up front. And the secondary, certainly, though, is where they struggle, and that's where Dak Prescott and company have to take advantage to keep any type of playoff hopes alive tonight. So I think it's going to be a pretty good bounce back performance for this Dallas offense. And then on the other side, look, you have one of the lowest rated offenses with the Las Vegas Raiders. And watching Geno Smith, I genuinely think made me have disdain for the sport of football in that spot against Denver. I mean, it was that bad. And they still covered. So say what you want against that. It was just so, I don't know why that game was just so ugly. And there have been so many ugly games. And after that game, I remember talking to you guys about it. I'm like, trust me, I know bad quarterback play. I'm a freaking Bears fan, but that was horrendous. And I get it. The offensive line was atrocious in their own right, but my God, that was sickening. The point is, the Dallas Cowboys have equally as bad of a defense here, V, and you know this. They're giving up over 30 points per game. They rank dead last in defensive success rate, 31st in EPA per play. They're 30th in red zone defensive efficiency. So if they can get Ashton Genty involved, whether it's in the ground aspect or with some dump off screens, and then obviously you get the big body in Brock Bowers, who, albeit though, Dallas isn't the worst against tight ends, and neither are the Raiders. We were talking about that earlier. But you got to just make life easier for Geno. Get him on these shorter, quick design routes and not have him think back there in the pocket when it inevitably collapses, hoping one of these mid-tier, below mid-tier receivers are open, which it might be the case every now and again against Dallas. But realistically, your offensive line isn't good enough to get you there. So I guess with all of that being said, yeah, I mean, I still think I would rather be on the side of it being a higher scoring game just because of how ugly it could be defensively speaking, and they may make Geno look somewhat competent this time around.
And I said this earlier, and I'll say this to Chad as well listening. So Geno Smith's passing yards is like 229 and a half, 230 and a half, depending on where you're shopping. The two times he's gone over that over the last 6 weeks was against the Colts and against the Jaguars 2 weeks ago. Soared over his passing yards line. Both of those defenses are bottom 5 in the NFL in passing yards allowed. The Commanders was the other one, excuse me, not the Colts. I'm looking at something different. If you think that Geno can come out and have a serviceable game against this bad secondary, then there will be a possibility for this to be an entertaining football game. Because I have no doubt, and maybe I'm just viewing this from a little bit of a optimistic perspective. I think that the Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball. Yeah. I think that Dak, I think that CD, George Pickens, Ferguson, Javonte Williams, I just think that they're going to be able to generate offense. And Geno, as long as they can then take advantage of this bad defense, then we should have a bit of a back and forth type of game. However, like you mentioned, based upon any metrics you look at, this Raiders offense has been terrible. So hard to kind of back that. Feel like that could possibly come to fruition in this particular spot. I know that you have a receiving yards prop. V, do you have any bets in this game? I know you said you didn't lab it. You do? Okay.
I do, but go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I'll rifle mine off quick. I just got one here, V, and for anybody else who hasn't heard it, instead of going with Ashton Genty in the rushing yards, which I don't mind, by the way, said about 63, 64 and a half. I think that's a decent look, but I think there's a bit more of an edge here with his receiving yards at 16 and a half, minus 115 is the juice on this spot. He's been getting more involved in the passing effort. Now, it's been very volatile, but when he's gotten involved, he's gone over. And SBJ spoke on that and the potential of laddering it. But I certainly feel comfortable here with the 16 and a half against the Cowboys defense. That's giving about 5 receptions for 45 receiving yards to opposing tailbacks per game. And if you look at his season averages, how I talk about how it's increased on the year, he's getting 2.6 receptions, 3.3 targets, 15 receiving yards per contest. But over the last 5, that's increased to about 3.2 receptions, 4.4 targets, and 23 receiving yards per game. If you're the Raiders, like I mentioned, try to take the pressure off of Geno Smith. Still try to get your number 6 pick involved because he's been lackluster due to how bad Geno's been, to how bad this offensive line has been. short, secure dump offs, check downs, screen passes, whatever the hell you got to do to get one of your best playmakers involved, you do it. And I think there's going to be a couple designs in the first half, and then potentially in the second half, if they're trailing, it's just going to be pressures here. I got to dump it off somehow instead of trying to force it downfield and take as many sacks like Geno did in the last game. So I think we'll see an ample opportunity here for Genty in the passing effort, because again, like if you can't get him going, outside of Brock Bowers, you're pretty limited on the weapons. Trey Tucker's okay, but he's not a number one guy, so he's going to be fairly easy to lock up. Get Genty going. I mean, if his rushing yards isn't holding up, then this is how you do it.
Well, and as you said, we talked about this earlier. In the last 5 games, his targets have gone up, and also in 2 of the games, he has hit his receiving yards line. He's had 40 plus in both of those games, so it's definitely a nice spot. You can maybe juice up a bit for some plus money if you're feeling so frisky. I got a pass catcher on the Raiders side. I think V does too. His looks like it's a fun one as well, which I might have gotten invested in based on talking myself into it earlier. But I'm going to give you guys another angle you can take. Give me Tyler Lockett over 25.5 receiving yards, -120. I did sprinkle on his touchdown for +400 because this line makes no sense. Tyler Lockett, last game against the Denver Broncos, was his first technical game with the Raiders after leaving the Tennessee Titans and coming and playing for this team. He had 5 catches on 6 targets for 44 yards. Now, Tyler Lockett, obviously an older player on the back half of his career, maybe even the twilight in his career. However, he did play a lot with Geno Smith in Seattle. And it seemed like, from me watching that Denver game, as Danny said, I'll never get those 3 hours back of my life. However, it did look like that in situations where Geno was in trouble or Geno was looking to get first downs or looking for somebody that he trusted, he was going to Tyler Lockett. He just lost his number 1 wide receiver in Jacoby Myers. He's looking for that secondary option to Brock Bowers. And who best than to rely on your old pal that just got you 44 yards through the air against one of the best defenses in football. Would not be surprised if I look up and Tyler Lockett has like 50 or 60 yards and a touchdown in this game, just purely off the fact that the matchup has a lot of spots open right for the picking. And I feel most comfortable with taking on Lockett. So give me Lockett for the 25.5. I like it up to 30, 35, depending on, I think the line's almost 30 now. And I like the touchdown for a sprinkle. We did this earlier. Sauce Man, this line's probably singing to you too. This guy hasn't scored a touchdown since 2024 and is +400.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look too much at this game, but as soon as you put that up on the screen at +400, I was like, okay, so Vegas is trying to tell us something about this one, because even the 25.5 line is pretty high too. I know he had a solid week last week in terms of targets, or was it the week before, but it's still kind of high for the way he's played here.
Chat's on top of this too before V goes. I do like the catches for plus money if you want to go that way. He had 4 last week or 5 last week, like I mentioned, on 6 targets. So, but again, this all hinges on, can Geno be serviceable? So we will find out. So take us home, Sauceman, why you think Geno can be at least serviceable to his best wide receiving option.
Exactly for what Danny's saying. They want to make him comfortable, make sure that he's not having to pass too deep or hold on to that ball too long. And that's exactly why I'm going to his number 1 target in Brock Bowers, over 74.5 receiving yards. I know that they haven't been the worst against tight ends, but to me, that feels a lot more like you have the opportunity to use your wide receivers when you were playing a defense this bad. You don't have to use the tight ends as much. But in this situation with the Raiders, it's kind of flipped. We saw it all week. Last week, Brock Bowers was second in routes run, but saw just 2 targets. The other thing that stood out to me was his 15.4% first read target share, meaning calling as many plays for him, that he wasn't the first read on a lot of these plays, especially when he had 37% first read target share in the week prior and a 28% first read target share on the season. I think it was Pete Carroll, or it was one of the coaches during this week, they made a point. They said, we need to get him involved in the game, even if the defense is trying to eliminate him. And that was the Broncos' game plan, eliminate Brock Bowers from anything we're going to do. And I think that the Raiders kind of fell into their trap a little bit in the sense of looking to target and involve other players. It didn't work. The offense looked terrible. But now you are back in front of your home crowd. You have a defense that has been absolutely horrendous and a tight end that demands like number 1 volume. Not only do they line him up in line, but they line him up in the slot. They even give him a good amount of snaps at the wide receiver spot. This is a guy who can work anywhere on the field. He's going to have a mismatch everywhere. And 2 of the starting 3 linebackers for this Dallas Cowboys crew have coverage grades lower than 55. They have not been good in coverage. And the third guy they're starting is, I think, getting his first start of the year. So it's not a good spot for this defense on the road. I think not the Cowboys. I think the Raiders surprised people that have been put up some points today.
I said this earlier. You kind of hit the nail on the head too. That they would be coaching malpractice if they didn't go into this week's game plan and go, we need to get Brock Bowers more than 3 targets in this offense again in this game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if first drive we see him with 3 or 4 targets, just because, again, like all the points you mentioned. I laddered this. Matt posted a clip of me saying this earlier about how, like, if you like Brock Bowers in this game, just take it up to like 125. You're getting kick-ass value, and this is the perfect opportunity for him to have just a huge game, given the matchup. And then that relies upon Geno, obviously, but you're getting great value top to bottom. So glad you took a stab. I didn't bet it specifically, but I did ladder it and posted a little cheeky 2-piece with him and CD just in case we get Chalk City tonight. All right, last prop, and then we'll move on and talk some basketball. I went with the other wide receiver on the other side, who V's bet a lot this season. Surprised he didn't want to take Georgie boy. Georgie? Give me George Pickens over 64.5 receiving yards, minus 115. And I did take the touchdown, plus 150. He's hit this in 4 straight games. The Raiders, fine. Defense, as Danny said, had moments of being fine. Max Crosby obviously is always a problem, but they're 25th in receiving yards allowed to the wide receiver position. There's obviously going to be shading a lot of this coverage towards CeeDee Lamb and not letting him beat them. Could CD do that? Of course, it's CeeDee Lamb. But George Pickens has had 9+ targets in 3 of his last 4 games. 2 of those 3 being with CeeDee Lamb out there. So I think that there's opportunities that George is getting even more comfortable with Dak as the season continues down the road. This guy was a number 1 wide receiving option for the Steelers for multiple years, and he's getting coverages like a number 2, which is a great situation, and he's taking advantage of it plenty of times. So I think this line's very comfortable, 65+. Don't hate the ladder up to 70, maybe 80. But he does kind of flirt around that 75 to 80 line. So I think that this is just a bit too low in an opportunity where the Cowboys are, as long as the Cowboys are having to move the football, as long as they can't just get a lead and then just grind this game out because the Raiders are doing nothing, this should be, I don't want to say free, but he should get plenty of targets to get over this line. And I like the touchdown purely off the target share that he gets in the red zone, and also the fact that he could bust a big one and just beat this defense deep. So, yeah, give me Georgie.
I like this a lot, SPJ. Just not to spend too much time on it, but if you're looking at the targets for the wide receiver 2s over the last couple of weeks, the Raiders defense hasn't been the worst this year, and especially in the secondary. I think what they're doing is trying to just eliminate a lot of those first read target shares. If you can get a QB looking at his second option, you can get a guy like Max Crosby to get home. Just the last 2 weeks, 9 and 9 targets for Troy Franklin and Parker Washington. Before that, 5 and 4 for Hollywood Brown and Alec Iomanner, your boy. So it feels like a spot where Pickens is already seeing a high target share as well. Not last week, but 2 weeks prior, 30% first read target share.
Yeah, so Dak's looking his way a lot. And chat, before we move past football, any straights? Let's run through them one more time before we jump into the hoops. Danny, you want to talk about your play, and then we'll rattle off the others.
Yeah, just got Ashton Genty over 16.5 receiving yards, thinking he's going to get a bit more involved in the passing effort here for the Raiders, make Geno's life a little easier. In terms of the side or total, it would be kind of scary to sweat the total out toward the under for this one. I think if you like Dallas, but you're a tad bit hesitant because the number's over 3, if this game is going to be over 48.5, realistically, it's going to be a back and forth effort, thus setting you up for a better number with Dallas, especially considering how terrible their defense is. There's probably a good chance that maybe the Raiders score first. Maybe they keep it close for a while, and then this line creeps down to 2.5. Heck, maybe you could get a viable money line price. That's going to be my approach, is to wait to in-game Dallas and see if we can't get a better spot on them.
I like that a lot, actually, because I could totally see the Raiders scoring the first touchdown in this game.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we saw with the Jets on Thursday Night Football against the Patriots.
Well, yeah, and the Raiders moved the ball in that, if I'm not mistaken, that first possession against Denver too. When they had restricted plays, wasn't too bad. So who knows?
True, 100%. I got 2 pass catchers. Pickens, like I just talked about, 64.5 receiving yards, sprinkled a touchdown, and then Tyler Lockett on the Raiders side, 25.5 receiving yards, another sprinkle in the touchdown at plus 400. Sauce man.
Brock Bowers over 74.5 receiving yards. You can't give this guy 2 targets in a single game and expect that to fly. Bad secondary. He lines up everywhere, and 5 red zone targets the week before. He's had 1+ in every week. So Brock Bowers.
Bowers to the moon. Okay, let's move past football. We'll circle back to it when we cook the parlay here in just a few minutes. But there is a nice NBA slate tonight. No college basketball from us. The guys on Up Your Units covered that earlier. You can always go check out their analysis as well at bettingnews.com. Now, chat, we're going to get to have the fun activity of trying to twist Danny's arm to bet the NBA with us tonight, because he doesn't have anything specifically that he has locked in yet. But maybe he did find something since we've been on the show. But maybe V and I can convince him to do some stuff. Chat, let us know what you guys are betting in the National Basketball Association tonight. Sauceman, you wrote about him in Betting News. I'll let you rattle them off first, and I'll close this out.
Absolutely. I got a couple here. We're starting with that Miami game and the Knicks. Down in Miami this time, these two teams just played on Friday, but I'm taking Khalil Ware over 23.5 points and rebounds. He is this team's center now. Not even just because Bam's out of the lineup, but he has started 10 of the 13 games for this team, and this team just got cooked on the offensive glass on Friday. 20 offensive rebounds, boys. They gave up a shit ton of second chance points, and it's been the story of their season. I know they're playing at a faster pace. I know they're doing so much, but they are not rebounding the ball well. And if you watch that Cup game, it was on Prime, and you saw Udonis Haslam at the end of that game. He's like, I texted Ware right after that, you need to go watch the Mitchell Robinson tape, and you need to know how he got every fucking one of those offensive rebounds off of you. Now, that aside, this is still a great line. This is also something he's hit in 7 of his last 11 without Bam in the lineup. He's averaging 12 and 12 without him in the lineup. And again, he's their number 1 rebounder, and he's going to see a shit ton of minutes. He played 35 minutes against the Knicks on Friday. They have the 2 big man lineup with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns, so they'll definitely need him out there. Next,
before you go to your next play, just because I have a play in this game, so we'll just kind of do it that way before you rattle off your other 2. I'm going back to Jaime Jaquez over 12.5 rebounds and assists, minus 115. The line I got here over. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5 games. Just played the Knicks, like you said, in the Garden. 9 boards, 7 assists. Had a great game scoring. If you want to take the PRA as well. But I just like taking this guy to hit the glass, be involved on the offensive side of the ball. Norm Powell's been fantastic for this team. Like you just mentioned, Khalil Ware's been good too in the starting lineup with no Bam. The Knicks are also banged up. No Brunson, possibly no Miles McBride, although I think that he is going to play, but he's kind of dealing with a little bit of an injury too. So maybe their defense is not as good as it usually is. And I just think that Jaime is just going to continue to cook. So give me the 12.5 rebounds and assists. Don't hit the double sprinkle if you want to go that direction too. Kind of like the Heat as well.
Yeah, I do too. I think
Miami.
Yep, me and Battlelegs both going to fade the Knicks once again today. We didn't fade them on Friday, so we don't lose that one. But we will fade them again today and hopefully go 2-0, fading the Knicks this year.
Yeah, just I kind of like the Heat just plainly looking at it, but I definitely like the Khalil Ware play. We were talking about him on Wednesday when we were all together, and that was one that I kind of shouted out with the double-double, and, he went off, and you're right, V. I mean, especially with Bam out of the mix, like, this guy's really taken over this role. And I think this is, maybe one of the last opportunities if he goes over to take advantage of still a lower market on him, relatively speaking. So I'm going to definitely be tailing on that. And with Jaime Jaquez, maybe I'll dabble a little bit. I know SPJ loves to go back to the same guy. So I'm going to have to look into that one a little bit more. The only reason I'm not as in love with this because I did look at Ware a little bit, but I hadn't looked at Jaime yet.
Absolutely.
But Jaime is a little bit harder just because he comes off the bench, so he's not a starter. I don't know if you're still you had the great shout out of Khalil Ware's double-double. And if it's still at a playable number, I feel like that could be very
it was like minus 110 maybe when we were talking about it last week.
I don't think
it's more, but
plus 100.
Yeah.
It's even money tonight. Wow. Yeah, I would take that. I mean, again, if you like V's bet, like you can obviously get by at a lower price, for just doing that.
Said double-doubles in 3 straight games. But yeah. Okay, keep going. I know you got a couple more. Maybe I have some in the same game, so we can just kind of do it that way.
Absolutely. Next one, I'm going to this Philly game. I know everyone is probably going to be very enamored with James Harden and back in Philly, and that storyline definitely exists. But then you look at his line, and it's 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists for James Harden in 2025, and that's just not a spot I'm willing to put my hard-earned money on. So what's the next best thing? I'm taking the big man that he loves to feed, the guy that he loves to make look good, Ivica Zubac, over 27.5 PR. They have struggled with opposing centers, and it's not like it's been better with Joel Embiid, but since Joel Embiid is not the JoJo we've seen over the last 4 to 5 years, they have no paint defense. The backups that they bring in have not been able to have any kind of presence or establish any dominance down there, and it's why we've seen centers having big games. Jalen Duren just had 37 points and rebounds, and this is not a guy that scores a shit ton. Zubac is shooting the ball more. They're also going to be without Kawhi Leonard tonight. They're going to be possibly Bogdanovic tonight. And last night after the game with the Celtics, they saw I forget his name right now, but he was on crutches. They're Derek Jones Jr. There we go. Derrick Jones Jr., he was on crutches. So they're really going to need some guys on the second night of a back-to-back after taking a tough loss to the Celtics. You're going into Philly now. And Harden hasn't had the biggest games against the Philly over the last year, so going back to last year. But the one thing he was 2-0. I'm sure Philly wants to get back in the win column. I'm sure it'll be a little bit of a closer game. And we're seeing a 5.5-point spread towards the Sixers tonight. I just think that Zubac is going to have a little bit of an impact on this game if they want to get back in the win column.
I like this. I did look at Harden just because he's been so good to start the season, man. 37 years old and cooking, coming off that crazy triple-double too. But I didn't find anything. I like this play. DB, you got any thoughts on this Sixers-Clippers game?
Not too much. I kind of like the idea of not really buying into the revenge angle, though. I mean, when you've gone to as many teams as someone like James Harden has, how much do you really play that into account? And maybe that's just me saying that. I don't, have the data for that per se, but I know it is fun to do the narratives. But yeah, at this point in his life, I mean, I'm sure he'll have a good game and he's playing great, but I don't think it's warranted to kind of blindly bet his over. So I kind of like your thought process of steering in a different direction.
If you really... the threes or the assists. He's been shooting 40% from three, which is great this year, but also could be due for some regression. The Sixers' perimeter defense has been better this year. I think VJ has a lot to do with that. But maybe the assist line.
Mm-hmm. I'll take one, and then you can close this out before we kind of tap this off and cook the parlay. This one's a little chalky, so I mean, not really much of a sell job here. Going to that Cavaliers game with the Bucks taking on the Cavs in Cleveland tonight. I booked this last night. I still like it at the number that it's at right now. Give me Giannis. Give me Giannis PRA over 49.5, and I did sprinkle on the triple-double at plus 475. He's dealing with some knee soreness, so he was probable for this game. It's seeming like that he is going to play. And the last time he played against the Cavaliers earlier this season, he absolutely dog-walked them. 40 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists. He's due for a triple-double. He's been getting really close to one over the last couple of weeks. The Cavaliers defensively have also not been very good this year. 21st in rebounds allowed, 21st in assists allowed, and 17th in points allowed, kind of middle of the pack / back half of the pack for most of this. And again, high total in this game in Cleveland. I think that this is just going to be a big old Giannis masterclass tonight. So I like the triple-double sprinkle. I like the PRA. You can take the points if you want. I mean, he probably should have 30 to 35, but with how good he rebounds against Allen and Mobley, I want to be involved in the boards aspect of it too. So a little chalky, but I think that Giannis is going to have a lot to say in Cleveland tonight.
I like that. Yep. I think especially this got blown out by 20 points to the Lakers. Yeah, that's never fun, especially with the international angle with Luka Doncic and everything like that. Like, you don't want Luka coming into your arena and blowing you out by 20 points. And
it wasn't because of Giannis. 32,
Nope.
10, and 5. He just did. All the other guys just did not shoot the ball very well at home too, which is a big surprise for this team so far. So maybe we get a little bit kind of dip back up the other direction. The AJ Greens, the Ryan Rollins, the Cole Anthonys, the Miles Turners start knocking some shots down, and we get over the line. So, all right, go ahead, B.
Yeah, last game of the night. Aaron Gordon over 23.5 points and rebounds. If you've been watching us, Aaron Gordon is one of my favorite players in the NBA. Just the way that he plays, how hard he plays, and how many of my bets he's cashed. That's probably 90% of it. But the guy has been fantastic this year. He's averaging 19.9 points per game. He's shooting over 50% from the field, over 40% from three, and he is very. But the reason I'm attacking this today specifically is, one, the matchup with the Bulls. They're playing at the 5th highest rate in basketball. They have not been that great defensively. They're on the second night of a back-to-back, traveling from Utah to Denver. Now, add to that, this is going to be without Christian Braun. Cam Johnson may also sit this one, but games without Braun do not come often because he's always available, but it really opens up more opportunities at the rim, cutting to the basket, and getting rebounds. Why? Because Braun is one of those energy guys. A lot of his buckets are coming on dunks or, crazy finishes at the rim, or he's just getting the rebound and running in transition. You remove him from the equation, and AG fills that role again. I really like everything he's been bringing to the table. He just had 23 and 10 against the Wolves this weekend. Again, with no Braun, I love this spot against that I think doesn't rebound the ball well and runs to high hell. So, yeah. Yeah,
and the Bulls coming off that crazy double overtime, like you mentioned, game against Utah. Not necessarily tired legs this early in the season, and they got a lot of young players on that Bulls squad, so I'm not going to buy into it too much that that's the case. But I like this play. I also like Jamal Murray quite a bit in this matchup as well. And I was asking V about this, Danny, before we got started. Maybe you have some input on this as a Bulls fan. I mean, Josh Giddey's rebounds and assists is sitting at 16.5, and he just is coming off a huge triple-double against the Jazz yesterday. No Kobe White today on the injury management, him returning. As Josh Giddey's probably going to play 40-plus minutes again, and as long as they don't just get absolutely dog-walked where he doesn't play the fourth quarter, I feel like 16.5 with how much of the ball he's going to have in his hands feels comfortable. I don't have that bet yet, but do you got any thoughts on that as a Bulls fan?
Yeah, look, it's really hard to take an under on what Giddey's been doing. His production's just off the charts. And the one thing that would kill you certainly is if the Nuggets play to what the spread's at, and then they just sit the starters, go, you know what, this is a tough scheduling spot, double overtime last night. Now you're playing up against one of the toughest teams in the NBA. We take this one, we eat it, so be it. But on paper, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to trend toward the over. I get that Kobe White's not playing it. It is the second leg of a back-to-back after a double overtime game, but it's still a lot of points here for Denver to lay, a team that doesn't have that much depth in their own right still. It doesn't mean that I think the Bulls are going to win necessarily, but it's a young Bulls core and one that's probably ticked off. It's still relatively early in the year. I'm not saying I'm taking the Bulls either. All I'm saying is this will be interesting to see how this game plays out because of that narrative. And if it's just this Bulls team's like, we're tired, we're going to find out a little bit about the response and resilience from Chicago tonight if they can keep things close.
It's also a high total. 240.5 point total is a high total, regardless of what you think is going to happen, even if the Nuggets end up covering the 15 late in the game. I feel like the first 2.5 quarters, they're going to be running and gunning for sure.
Also, really – oh, go ahead, V.
No, go ahead, Danny, please.
Oh, I was just going to address something in the comments about this. I am personally worried after I got this notification. It's someone with a Wemby MVP ticket. So, yes, I'm a bit concerned.
We're going to talk about this on Wednesday because Sook also has a MVP ticket for Wemby, and I want to pick his brain about it because especially with all the trends of calf injuries turning into AC or Achilles tears right now, and with the fact that Wemby is a ginormous person, and I'm sure that they're trying to really monitor his health because of his just stature, I'd be worried too, dude. So I think that that's definitely worth being concerned about. I got one more to throw in here.
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry, it was about this Bulls game, real quick.
Yeah.
One thing was about Giddey. Do you lean at all with the PRA? Just because like what we saw with Giannis, they were on the second night of a back-to-back, played the Hornets, a team that is way worse, right? Very close game. Giannis had a ton of assists. I think he had a triple-double in that one as well. I don't know if he got the rebounds or not, but he did definitely have the 10-plus assists. Everybody was shooting and playing fantastic. Next thing you know, nobody's hitting their shots, and they get blown out by 20. Now, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but do you think that this is a spot where maybe they need to lean on Giddey to score as well? And if the assists are coming, that's fantastic. But if he's getting north of 25 points, do we want to look at the PRA?
34.5, yes.
That's also
I like it.
Low line, too, if we've been comparing it to what it's been at.
He just had 52 last night against the Jazz. And the Jazz and the
shots.
Nuggets. Yeah, the Jazz and the Nuggets are not in the same echelon of conversation, although the Jazz have been pretty decent to start the season. But no, I don't dislike it, man. I just always lean with Giddey. And I know you've taken his PRA a bit more because we have seen him in being a bit more of an aggressive scorer in comparison to what we've seen in years past. But I just always lean with the RA with him because I can always be reliant on him to have almost double-digit assists and definitely hit the glass and get 7 to 8, whereas sometimes he shoots the ball like shit. Not to say that's this season so far. He's been really efficient scoring, but is that he's gotten into this phase and this is where we're going to expect him to be and we have a different conversation about him? Or is he going to kind of revert back to the mean of him being a, 45 to 50% shooter, but only taking 20 shots a game type of deal?
Okay. And one last thing that over time, but you guys talk about the NHL, a grocery spot. After a long road trip, you just come back home, right? You got to get some stuff for the house and everything like that.
For Denver, you're saying?
Yeah, the Nuggets just had a 3-game road trip. Sacramento, Clippers, Minnesota, 3-0. All pretty, double-digit wins. Now you're coming home against the Bulls teams, double OT in Utah, and they're traveling.
Don't keep talking like this. Danny's tempted to take that 13.5. I can see it right there with the Bulls. I see it. I kind of like the over because I think that both of these teams, especially if Jokic ends up playing, which he's probable, so it's looking like he's going to. Jokic has also had big games against this Bulls team before, and the way he's been playing basketball, it's just set it, forget it, don't overthink it. So, yeah, could be a fun one to end the night for sure. Last one for me. This is short and sweet because we got to get out of here. But I'm taking Scotty Barnes over 12.5 rebounds and assists, sprinkled on the double-double for plus 220. Don't really understand why this line is plus 220. He's had 3 straight games where he has had double-digit rebounds. And in this spot I had all the – you were asking me Giddy questions, and I had all the Giddy stuff. Against Charlotte. Had a double-double the last time they played last season. And he's been hitting the glass like crazy. 11 rebounds and 5 assists in their last one. He's hit this line in 3 straight games and 4 of his last 5. There's obviously the opportunity that BI and Barrett can also take away rebounds and assist opportunities. So the triple-double is a little bit more of a longer shot if you really want to get frisky. However, he did have 10 and 8 in 2 games ago. But I like the double-double for 2-1. I feel like it makes a lot of sense with how he's been hitting the glass. I think this game should stay relatively close. I'm pretty sure LaMelo Ball is back in this game too. So that'll keep it at least more offensively fun for the Hornets side of things. And it's at home in Toronto. And Toronto's been good this season to start it off. So I like Barnes, 12.5 rebounds and assists in the double-double.
Love it.
Bang. Bang. Good stuff, guys. We went a little over time. The chat, I'm sure you guys have enjoyed the chatter about the Monday Night Football and about the NBA tonight. And, of course, us giving you our good, bads, and uglies earlier today. Let's cook a parlay and let's get out of here. Since we're in basketball brain, let's start there. And then we'll close it out with the football. Do you guys know the Muffin Man? No. Do you want to start this off? Do we feel confident with the Bulls?
No.
I don't know about that. It's kind of
No,
I feel most confident about the Kalel Ware double-double, I would say.
we talk about so many nice props. Let's talk props. Kalel Ware double-double or the PR. Let's do that.
Okay. Let's see. Do you want to do double-double or PR? What are we thinking?
Well, you say his PR, what was that, 23.5?
Yeah, it's a little higher than the double-double, obviously.
Right, and we're getting a better price on the double-double, so it's kind of like we could still hit the double-double and not have to go over the PR, which is nuts. So it's kind of just a mistake right there from the books. I feel like we take advantage of that.
Let's do that.
That's a big old noggin you got there, Danny.
Yeah, I'm definitely betting the double-double myself. I mean, that's kind of crazy that it's priced that way.
Hey, see, I told you we go into this and the arm got twisted.
That's right.
There it goes. All right, so Kalel Ware double-double.
We go to Giannis. Or if we want to skip the first window of games, we go to Scotty Barnes, RA.
I think we could skip the first window just because we're getting close to tip-off for those games. So Kalel Ware double-double.
Scotty Barnes double-double. Tyler Lockett touchdown. Bang! We got it.
Oh, there it is. Watch that hit, and that's not going to be the delay. I kind of think do you like the RA play for Scotty? You guys both
I do,
cool with
yeah,
that?
I do. I think it's going to be a fun game, too.
What do you think, Danny? Or do you want to take something in that Nuggets game later?
I'm indifferent. I haven't seen enough of Scotty Barnes play, personally, to have a good feel on it. 13.5, you said was the number?
12.5.
12.5. Okay, I definitely feel a little bit better at 12.5. I don't love it. I like it, to be blunt. But I'll let you guys conduct us here more so.
We could do Giddy. We both or like Aaron Gordon, like V was talking about in that later game. I want you to love it, man. I want you to feel it in your plums and feel it in your
Can you remind me of the Aaron Gordon one again?
23.5 points and rebounds. No Christian Braun. Fast-paced game. There's also the 2+3s, but like
I kind of like the Gordon one just a wee bit better, I will say.
Okay. It's also a line he could, like, if he goes bonkers in that first half, like we've seen him do, we might not have to wait for a fourth quarter. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, this would be a spot to where Gordon could just torch the Bulls. It wouldn't shock me.
Jamal Murray also has great numbers taking on Chicago with his RA. I was looking at that too. The big three of Denver should have big nights tonight, especially.
Jamal should sit. It's the second night of back-to-back. Take some rest, King. All right, go rest.
So Chewy got the bat signal that we're talking Bulls. Okay, so Gordon PR, Kalel Ware double. Now let's pick 2 in the football game and call it.
GNT receiving yards.
I like that a lot. I know Danny's all over that too. Okay.
Yep.
It's up to 18.5. Do you like it at 18.5 still, Danny?
In terms of just this parlay, sure. I mean, realistically, I think he gets 20 plus.
We could take 15 plus as well for -170. It's a parlay.
Up to you guys.
Yeah.
Or we could just not be soft and take the 18.5. Let's just do that. Let's just not be soft.
Okay.
Do we want to take him and Lockett? Because both lines are low enough where realistically, if this team is passing quite a bit, it could hit. Or we take Pickens on the other side. Pickens also a good spot, but I mean,
I like the Lockett angle a decent amount. I'm not gonna lie.
we really need 40 yards through the air from the Raiders.
Dudes.
That's all.
Right. Yeah,
all
you
we're
would
asking.
think that would be doable.
You would think
20.
so.
28.5 receiving yards. It's up to 28.5.
Can we take
All
that
right,
at
so-
25?
Yeah, we can take that at 25.
I'd be
That
down
is
with that.
That is a good idea. That's plus 980. So
At 4 legs.
Tyler Lockett, 25 receiving yards. G&T, 18.5 receiving yards. Khalil Ware, double-double. And Aaron Gordon, 23.5 points and rebounds. My only question would be, do we want to diversify it as a skosh and take G&T's R&R just in case he does go crazy on the ground? Or do we just want to stick with the receiving? Happy to leave it at the receiving. We just throwing it out there as an option.
I love it as is.
Yeah. 980. There you go.
I'm feeling
Plus
good
9.
about this one. Come on.
Oh, let's
I'm so
go.
tickled.
Oh, man. All right. Plus 980 chat. There's your Betspresso 4. 2 in the NBA, 2 on Monday Night Football. We'll post it on the timeline if you want to tail. Feel free to give us a follow on the socials if you haven't already. Good stuff, boys. Let's smack this parlay. Let's start the week with a dub. Feels
I'm
good.
thinking we're gonna do it.
I feel good about it. And we got you to V convinced you to tail Khalil Ware double because you ain't got no problems taking Khalil Ware, baby.
Yeah, I'm pumped about that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to that game.
Any chance to bet on
Let's go,
Superman,
Chewy.
baby? Kal-El.
That's right. Khalil. Let's go. Let's go, Chewy. We love you, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in right here on the Betting News Network. We'll be live again tomorrow. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight. The lads will be live in the morning for up your units. Give us a follow if you haven't already to get the full notifications when we go live. Go follow Sauce Man. Go follow Danny Burke. Follow myself at Sweatpan Jesus. Get involved with all of our content across all the socials. Boys, anything else before we dip?
Happy Monday.
Best of luck.
Let's have a night. You guys came for the winners and you stay for the vibes. Catch you in the next one. Take it easy, chat.
What you know about rolling down in the